Hey folks, it's Nate, and tonight I got something really simple going on. I'm just replacing lug nuts on the wife's JKU. But I wouldn't normally make a video on something like that, but what I do have to show you is something I bought. Not a freebie. I was watching a video on Muddy Beard's 4x4, and he mentioned MotivX tools, how they had a sale going on because of the COVID-19 stuff. And I just went and checked it out. I bought a set of lug nut sockets. You may have noticed in the past that whenever I use my impact gun, I use just standard Craftsman chrome sockets, which is generally a bad thing because the chrome chips can actually be dangerous. It can get into your fingers and whatever, and the sockets can break. So I always knew it wasn't the right way to go, but it's what I had. I didn't have any impact sockets. So now I do. What I wanted to show you guys first was check out the packaging. Okay, nice box, whatever. You'd expect just to open up one end and then the things fall out. Notice you don't hear shaking or anything, right? Everything's quiet. That's because inside of here is this embossed foam. And check out what's under the foam. I mean, come on. Who packages tools that way? That's pretty awesome. So what I got here is they're these double-sided impacts, right? So 3/4 one side, 13/16 the other. And then they have this little adapter, not adapter, but extension, so that you can actually get them onto your impact gun. So, I mean, they seem pretty solid. I've had problems in the past with my Craftsman sockets because they're 12-point, where they'll sometimes get kind of stuck or spin a little bit more than they're supposed to on a lug nut. And I think that actually may have contributed to the thing that I have to fix tonight, which is I have a lug nut on the JKU that is a little rounded. And I started doing it when I had the Jeep in here for an oil change and didn't have replacement lug nuts and decided to stop till I got some lug nuts. So I did. The lug nuts I got are nothing special. They're just like one of these Amazon specials with the key, right? They're supposedly security lug nuts. I'm not going to call them secure at all. I bought them because she wanted something in copper to match the Jeep. These are red, but that's close enough, I think. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm not going to film the whole thing. I want to show you these. So what I am going to do is I'm going to show you the actual use of the sockets, you know, first time I'm using them. Stay tuned. I got to juggle Jeeps first. I'll be right back. This right here is the lug nut that I'm fighting with. And the reason I'm fighting with it, you'll notice it looks kind of blown up at the moment. That's the work I'm doing to it, believe it or not. So, see this perfectly good looking lug nut? These nuts, and a lot of nuts, especially chrome nuts like this, these are factory Jeep lug nuts. It's one of the first things I usually replace on a Jeep when I buy them, and this is why. These caps, over time, they're basically just a chrome cap on top of a steel, I assume steel nut, okay? You can see the nut and the stud underneath there. What'll happen sometimes, especially with an impact gun, is these things get like expanded a bit, like water and crap gets in behind them, and then they don't fit quite right in your socket. So when you're trying to take them off, you end up using a slightly larger socket because that's the one that fit, and then it rounds the corners off. And then you end up with something like this. Now I'm hoping that today, I'm rotating the tires. That was the thing I was doing when I ran across this guy. Hopefully today this is the only one I have to deal with because my plan is I'm going to replace all these lug nuts with something a little more sturdy, hopefully. Now most lug nuts have these caps on them, but for whatever reason, the factory Chrysler, Jeep, whatever lug nuts always do this to me. And I don't know why, these little acorn nuts. Basically what I'm doing here is I've driven a screwdriver through this cap, this upper, sort of dimple here in the cap. I drove a screwdriver through it so I could break it open. And now I've worked the screwdriver in between the nut and the cap, and now I'm sort of driving it off. My goal is to get it split so I can pop the cap off, and then I'll have a good solid nut underneath. And then I just got to find something that fits that nut, and then it'll come off. I just want to show this to you guys because it's a thing I run into a lot, and I don't know that it's a problem that most people have or not. Maybe it's just me, but it's common enough that I thought I'd show it to you guys. All right, folks, so here it is. I hate these lug nuts. Look at how chewed up that thing is. That was just from me trying to get it off, like I said, with my 12-point Craftsman sockets on an impact gun instead of a good 6-pointed impact rated socket. But you can see here, obviously, all of this, all the dimples and holes that are in it, those are from me beating on it with this screwdriver. But I got the goal here. The goal was to get it to split. Once it split, I heard a little pop. The whole thing came a bit loose, and then I was able to pull it off. I really hate these lug nuts. I don't know if it's me, if it's something I do to them. Maybe there's something I'm doing wrong. Maybe they're just garbage. I don't know. Hopefully, somebody else will say, yep, that totally happens to me. I don't feel so bad. But there it is. Basically, they're shaped like they have this little dimple on them. And I drove a screwdriver into the dimple. And then I was able to get in this way, separate it, and start driving a screwdriver in sort of like a chisel. And eventually, pop, came apart. And then it came right off. So now hopefully I can get the lug nut off. All right, folks, so I took off the bad nut. So this is what I ended up with after I got that cap off. Now, the nut with a cap on it is a 3/4 standard. The nut without the cap is an 18 millimeter. So that's what fits it after you get the cap off. The 3/4 doesn't fit anymore. You can see how it's rounded off and whatnot from all the, I don't know, abuse, whatever it was. This is what they look like before you abuse the hell out of them. And this one is actually in decent shape. This cap, this chrome on the outside, is just a little piece of thin material that's there to make it look pretty. I've talked to lots of people and they're astonished when they find out this isn't one piece. People who've never seen them come apart like that. But I mean, if you look at it, you can tell this is steel and this is, well, this is bare steel or maybe galvanized steel, and this here is chrome or maybe stainless steel. You can see the difference. But at any rate, that is a cap, and as you can tell, you can see right through the nut. If you get dirt up inside of there, and it gets inside of here, or liquid, or heating and cooling from, Pennsylvania driving in the hot and the cold, these start to expand, and when they expand, your sockets don't fit right anymore. So that's when what I just had to go through happens. So the lug nuts I'm going to put on are a similar construction, but they're a whole different design. So I've had them on other vehicles and haven't had trouble with them. That's why I wasn't worried about putting them on this one. But here, I'm going to show you the MotivX impact in action here. This is what it looks like once you get it onto your impact gun. Now, if you have an electric impact, of course, it'll be, well, whatever. So I just took one of them off, the one I'm just showing you. But works, as you'd expect. Only problem is, because of these things, because of those caps, it's now stuck in there. So that's how this fits, right? You use this extension, and on it goes. But I usually do is I just thread it back on a little bit. Comes right off. So, I'm not going to bore you guys with the rest of a tire rotation. Not exactly an interesting video, but I did want to show you that with the lug nut. So, there you go. There you go, folks. Quick tire rotation. Turns out the lug nuts that I bought don't fit the dang Jeep. Not happy about that. Amazon told me they would fit. I should have known better than to trust Amazon, but whatever. Still, the MotivX Tools Impact lug nut sockets, reversible lug nut sockets, they work pretty darn well. I like them. I like how sturdy they are. You can see after 20 lug nuts, that's about what they look like. Can't even see that the finish is nicked. I mean, I know this isn't like paint or whatever. It's like a acid etched. Whatever. They work really well. I did find that when I got the cap off of that broken lug nut, that none of these fit the nut inside, but I can't really blame them for that. It's an 18 millimeter. This goes from 17 to 19, probably because they're common lug nut sizes, and that's what they're shooting for here. So this is basically equivalent. If you think about the old style 4-ways, they would have 4 ends with 4 different sizes on them. This would be equivalent to a standard 4-way, you know. And this would be equivalent to a metric 4-way. So in the space of this little box, and to be honest, if you're putting this in your toolbox, it takes up even less space. It's not in this box anymore. In the space of this little box, I've got the size of 2 4-ways. Obviously, you need a gun of some sort to actually use them, or maybe at least a breaker bar, which I did use the breaker bar on some of these lug nuts because they were that freaking seized up. I'm so pissed that those other lug nuts didn't fit, but I'll get that worked out and get the lug nuts on later. But for now, we're done. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in the MotivX tools stuff, I'm going to put a link to their website down in the description. They make some pretty cool stuff. They make like these adjustable filter wrenches for oil filters. They make stuff like this, impact stuff. They make ratchet sets and whatever. I can't say how the rest of their stuff is. The thing Muddy Beards had was their ratchet set, and he liked it. That's what made me think, I'll go check it out, see how it is. So here I am. So this isn't like an endorsement for them. I'm simply saying I bought these. I kind of like them. If you want to buy some, I'll put a link down in the description. I get nothing for it. I get no affiliate, anything. I just bought them and I kind of like them. And this packaging is what got me. It's cool packaging. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks, and I'll catch you in the next video. Hey, you stuck around to the end of the video. You're awesome. You should probably hit the subscribe link up over here and make sure you hit the notification bell. Otherwise, YouTube's not going to actually tell you when I produce something new. You can also support me via Patreon by clicking the link up over here. And if you like this video, you should probably check out the recommended content that's coming up down over here. If you want merch like I'm wearing right here, you should go to SWBCrawler.com and check out my shirts and hats and whatever else I've got for sale. Thanks for watching.